There's another way to do that, where I teach you how to modify recipes based on my restrictions. This year, we're basing my recipes off my guests. So let's get into it. Tony Baker loves breakfast. I love breakfast. So it was a no-brainer when he said he loved pancakes to make him gluten-free sunflower butter pancakes. They're delicious. This is something I do all the time. And I love using Bob's Red Mill, pretty much anything. Their gluten-free stuff is fantastic, but I like using Bob's Red Mill pancake mix. If they don't have the pancake mix, you can also use the biscuit mix. I do that as well. But they had the pancake mix, so that's what we're doing today. I like to use the instructions to a T for this because whenever you're baking, you know how you have to be exact. And if you watch any of my cooking stuff, I'm not usually very exact when I cook. And I'm going to do the same thing with this. But for the base, I want to make sure these gluten-free pancakes turn out well, especially if I'm basing it off someone's favorite thing. So we're just going to follow the instructions. So basically, you do a cup. I know the recipe. I cook these all the time. You're going to do a cup of the mix, and I'm just going to use a measuring cup, a large one, because I find that it's much easier to do it that way. When you're mixing, then I can just put everything in here and mix it up. Okay, so, all right. It might be a little bit over a cup, but you know, whatever. You get it. It'll still be delicious and good. I'm going to also, now mixing stuff up, I'm going to also use some yogurt. I like to use the So Delicious dairy-free coconut milk yogurt, and I am using the unsweetened vanilla. So we're also going to throw a little vanilla in here this time. Now, I don't measure this. I just kind of throw a little in, and I'm putting it in there just to kind of make them fluffy, the pancakes nice and fluffy, especially since I'm not using some of the ingredients you would use in a traditional pancake. So that looks good to me. I'm also going to eyeball this vanilla flavoring. Oh, if I can get it open. Oh my goodness. Okay. And I'm pretty much, I mean, I can just do it to taste, but I'll measure it for y'all. I'm going to do like about a teaspoon of vanilla flavoring because we don't want vanilla pancakes, if that makes sense. You don't want it too much, especially if we're putting the sunflower butter with it. I just like everything to be a little more mild, but that's up to you. Do it to taste. One of the things I like to do is substitute the butter for olive oil. I use olive oil. If I don't know, you can probably, I'm sure, because with traditional pancake mix, sometimes they'll say just add oil. I use olive oil because I can't do butter, and I don't like the gluten or the dairy-free butter because it has ingredients that I can't eat. Usually it's some sort of like canola oil or something along those lines, so I don't use it. I haven't found one yet. And if it doesn't have canola, then it has vegetable oil or something else that I cannot eat. If you need to find out what I can't eat, check out season 1 and you can see all the things I cannot eat. I am going to do a tablespoon of butter, which is a tablespoon of olive oil. We're also going to add 1 egg. If you can't use eggs, I am not familiar with how to use applesauce, but I know you can use applesauce if you can't, for a lot of things where it's a like substitute, or I think they have like egg substitutes that you can use when you can't do egg. And we're back. All right. I can't go and just not wash my hands. You know how people once it gets dirty, I'm like, I can get salmonella poisoning, whatever. And I get really funny about that stuff. And funny, I mean, I won't eat any of it. Anyway, okay. So now we're going to do 3/4 of milk. 3/4, you just get 1/4 a cup and do it 3 times. Why am I opening this up? Okay, it's that simple. Very, very simple. I didn't even need gloves for this one. You want to make sure it's mixed up really well. And I would say, just like any other pancake mix, you want to make, or floury type of stuff, you want to make sure you get as many of the lumps out as possible. And if it's dry, like the dry ingredients, if you see some of it is a little dry still, like you can just I press against the walls of the container that I'm using to mix, and then I just keep going. So yep, we're gonna do this until it gets smooth, creamy, nice and creamy. It smells good. It's the vanilla. I want to go ahead and prep my toppings before I move over to the stove. So when I'm done, it'll be a quick transition. And I am going to add strawberries. To top my pancakes. And blueberries. I sometimes will smash my blueberries. I will smash them and make a sort of, what is it? It's basically like a syrup type of thing. I'll just make, so it's like flat. So I won't do that this time because again, I know Tony likes his stuff pretty simple. So I'm kind of, even though I'm modifying it, I want to have the essence of Tony, right? So we're just going to do the blueberries here, and maybe I'll just cut them in half just so they aren't so big on top of the pancakes. I add a little more olive oil than I would normally add because Tony, again, likes his crispy edges, and we're going to make sure he gets that. Well, he ain't really getting it, but you know, he gets it when he sees it. I'm also going to add just a little bit of coconut oil. That adds a little bit of flavor. It is a saturated fat, so I don't like to use a lot of it because I end up getting high cholesterol from it. But it does help you get those crispy edges when you mix it with the olive oil, I have found. I also like to use the measuring cup because I've also found that when you use the measuring cup, it definitely allows you to have better circles. And with this particular pan, I'm only probably going to do 2 pancakes per thing. So let's do it. And bam, you see these crispy edges? Look at that. Womp, womp, both sides. Yep, we did it. You see these 2 beautiful pancakes? I am going to top it with the sunflower butter. I don't add the sunflower butter to the mix, but I'm sure you could. Maybe I'll have to try that one time. But I add it like it's butter. We're simply going to top it. Ooh. I'm gonna eat that. We ain't wasting that. I usually buy the darker maple syrup, and I don't add a lot. And as you can see, it's definitely enough. And voila, we have our sunflower butter gluten-free pancakes. Let's try this out. Look at that crunch. It's so good. It almost reminds you of funnel cake. That's what it reminds me of. And you see right here, you see how it's nice and fluffy. Try it out. Let me know what you think. This has been There's Another Way to Do That, which is part of I Can't Eat Shit podcast on YouTube and wherever you stream your podcast.